Hey guys, Loot Wizard here with another video on Gems of War, and in this one I want to show you a team that centers around a recent mythic that was released, Phoenicia. And so Phoenicia, everyone pretty much thought that it was going to be one of the worst mythics when it was released, and I was lucky enough to actually get it in a chest. So I didn't use it for like the first month, and then after that I started tinkering around with a build for it, and I actually discovered that it's very powerful. It's now one of my favorite mythics to use in the game. So let's go over what its stats are basically and how to use it. Its traits really aren't that important. It has a gain 1 magic for each red ally, immunity to burning and fairy fire, and 50% chance to burn a random enemy at the start of my battle. And burning does 3 damage per turn, so it's not really too much damage, but the burning is used as a multiplier for her base damage. And when I have her fully leveled up, her base damage is 17 damage to all enemies, boosted by red gems and burning enemies. If there is a firestorm, deal double damage. So she only really becomes dangerous and powerful if there is a firestorm active at the time when you cast her. So that's what's really important about the build for her. Now, the first trait here, gain 1 magic for each red ally, doesn't seem that important, but I do have 3 red allies on my team, so the 17 damage will be increased to 20. And then it says boosted by red gems and burning enemies. And you can see the boost ratio on the right side says 1 for 1. So every red gem on the board will add 1 damage to the base of her spell. And then if there's a firestorm, it will be doubled. So I've seen her damage go up to like 70, I think 74 damage to all enemies was like the highest that I got her. But she averages about high 50s to 60 damage per cast. So here's my team. I have Ragnagord at the top, and I do have him traded at least for the second one because that's the most important trait, which is fast. Start battles with 50% mana, and what he does is explode 18 random gems of a chosen color. So this is very important for generating enough mana for Phoenicia to be cast, and it does use red mana, so there will be lots of red mana with our Firestorm on the board. And I have Phoenicia in the second spot, and then in the third spot I have the Leprechaun card, which explodes 9 green gems, boosted by my gold. And it does have Nature Link in its traits, which gives it a bonus. And all troops on my team a bonus to green mana, and Phoenicia does use green, so we will get a +1 to green whenever we match those. It starts battles with full mana when you trait the last one empowered, which is very important for the speed of this build. In the last spot, I do have Dawnbringer. If you do not have Dawnbringer, that is okay. You can use a different weapon, preferably one that uses blue and red, because you'll have a lot of red mana on the board, and blue is a color that is not used yet in this team. So preferably a weapon that uses red and blue. Now, as far as the class, and this is very important that you do have this class in your team here, otherwise Phoenicia will do way less damage. And this is the Sunspear class. So as you can see here, the traits don't really matter too much. What matters is that you actually have, or I mean the talents don't matter too much. What matters is the traits on her. And the last trait is the most important one, which is create a firestorm at the start of every turn. And I do think, if I remember correctly, the arcanes are a green-red arcane for trading her. Let's go in and look at the class here real quick. I don't know if I can use... Hang on. Sunspear. Yeah, it doesn't show which arcanes, but I do think that it is the green and red. But you do need to have this traded here. And I think it's 16 arcane trade stones to trade it fully. But that's very important for this build. So let's go back. That is the last team, and that your hero does need to be in the team in order for that fairy fire to work. Now the other thing real quick before I do a battle is the banner. And I am using the dragon banner so that I have a 2+ to red and 1 to yellow that will really fire up the Phoenicia. And also I get the 1+ to green with the Leprechaun. I have a negative brown on there, but Ragnagord, most of the time, we're going to be using red to fill him up anyway. So that is fine. Now, this team looks pretty dangerous that I'm up against. I have Gorgotha, which has skull damage reduction, and it explodes gems, so it's going to generate mana. I have Glaceon, which is Doom Skulls, King Bloodhammer, more Doom Skulls, and this Sylvana Mora, the dragon here, which explodes the column, does damage to all enemies, and it also entangles the first troop on 4 or 5 gem matches. So it looks like a pretty dangerous team, but as you'll see, once I get Phoenicia up, it's going to die within 1 or 2 hits. So right away, we're going to have the Leprechaun guy up on the board. So I'm going to go ahead and cast him, and that will sometimes get Phoenicia up like it did right there, plus Ragnagord. So we are going to go ahead and cast Phoenicia. Now, let's calculate the damage here real quick. We have 1 burning enemy, so that's going to be multiplied. That's going to add 1 damage, so we're at 21 then. Then there's 11 red gems on the board, so that adds another 11 damage to the 21. So we're at 32 damage. Now that is going to be doubled because at the bottom there you can see that little red orb with an 8 in it. That means that there is a firestorm active. So now that, what did we say the damage was? 32? Yeah, I think it was 32. So that 32 will be doubled into 64 damage to all enemies. So let's go ahead and cast her. Yep, 64 damage. And as you can see, 1 more hit like that from Phoenicia, and they're all going to die. So let's go ahead and cast Ragnagord. And we'll go ahead and explode blue, so the whole board gets exploded. Phoenicia is almost up. I do have a 4-match extra turn. Another cast from Phoenicia. And they're all dead. 2 hits from Phoenicia, and that entire team was wiped out. So she really is quite powerful. Let's go up against Flammifer and Yao and Queen Titania. This is a pretty powerful team. I've lost to it many, many times with other teams that I've tried to use. But Phoenicia seems to be very effective against her most of the time. And Phoenicia is already up, so I don't see any 4 or 5 matches either. Go ahead and cast her. Oh wait, there is a yellow one, but no, I'm not going to take that yellow, because if I do, my my Dawnbringer is frozen down there, and one of the colors that it uses is yellow. So if I take this yellow 4 match, I won't actually get an extra turn because that it is frozen. So let's go ahead and cast Phoenicia. Now, we have more red gems on the board than we did last time. So right here is 36, because we got 16 gems added to the 20. That's 36 damage. Double that, and we have over, what is that, like 72 damage to all enemies? Alright, so we have Ragnagord up. Let's go ahead and cast him. And explode the board. Phoenicia is back up. I'll go ahead and cast her again. Almost everything is dead. And I do have my Dawnbringer up. Cast that to get rid of that first guy. Now we have this last guy left, and I'm sure with a skull poke here he's going to die. And that's match. Well, we'll go ahead and try another one, except I don't want all firebombs. Yeah, let's go ahead and try this one here. And of course, you know, if you see something like this right here where you have a 4 or 5 match on the board that's red, yellow, green, you just go ahead and take that right away because your Phoenicia is definitely going to fill up quicker. And then here we have another yellow. And I didn't even need to cast the Leprechaun guy because Phoenicia could get filled up right away with all those 4 and 5 matches. Go ahead and cast her. That was 64 damage to all enemies. And now here you can see I have both Ragnagord and Leprechaun up. But instead of casting Ragnagord, we're going to go ahead and cast the Leprechaun so that all red mana doesn't get blocked by Ragnagord. And now my Phoenicia is back up. Cast that. And everything dies except it had that one skill to spawn something. That's fine. We can take care of this pretty easily. And we'll go ahead and explode the board. And boom. End of match. I've been defeated very few times with this Phoenicia team. I usually win, even the most difficult teams, because it gets its mana really quickly and then it does a lot of damage to all enemies. Like, this team is actually pretty powerful. You have at the top Ishbala, you have Infernus, and then you have a Dawnbringer, and then you have Diviner for mana generation, and they all have quite a bit of health, so it actually looks pretty dangerous. But if I can get Phoenicia up pretty quickly, I will be able to defeat this team. And Phoenicia is up. Go ahead and cast her, and as you can see, we have 18 red gems on the board. So this is going to be a lot of damage because you add that. It's almost 40 damage base, and then that gets doubled. So it's going to be like 76 or something like that. It's going to be close to 80 damage. And they're almost all dead. One more cast, and most all of them are going to be dead. Go ahead and explode the board again. Phoenicia's up. Caster. Everything's dead except the Dawnbringer, which is fine. We'll go ahead and Skull Poker, and then we will cast our own Dawnbringer and get Barrier on everything, so that it doesn't do any damage to me. Explode the board again. Phoenicia is now up, and one cast, dead. Yeah, so as you can see, guys, that team is really good. All you need is to be lucky enough to get Phoenicia in a drop or craft her in the Soul Forge. And like I said, you don't need Dawnbringer. Obviously, it's a little more powerful with a Dawnbringer, but you don't need it. You do need, however, the Sunspear class to be fully traded so that you get that Firestorm at the start of every turn, because that is what doubles Phoenicia's damage. And the Leprechaun guy, I think, is I think it can be dropped from gold keys, if not, definitely from glory keys. And Ragnagord, I was pretty sure you can get that guy from glory keys as well. So most likely you already have Ragnagord and the Leprechaun guy. So if as soon as you get Phoenicia, if you already have her, you should be able to get this build going. And thanks for watching, guys, and have fun. And later.